Me again. Just something I wanted to share kind of real quick here. I'm pinning in this old window. I did put zinc around the outside, and now I am installing it in the frame. And even though I did put zinc around the outside, I'm still using the old method to hold it in, which is carpet tacks. Now the wood's soft enough that I can start it off. These are carpet tacks. All the old windows that I've worked on that had lead around the outside had carpet tacks. If they hadn't been repaired, if it's still virgin, if it's not been messed with, they use carpet tacks. And usually I can tell if something's been worked on because there may not be carpet tacks holding it in. Now, when you're using a carpet tack, you always put it where there's a line. Okay, you always put it where there's a line. I'll use a hammer to get it kind of started. But I hear people go, well, how can you drive that in without hitting the glass? Well, there's a thing called a nail set. I couldn't tell you. You know, male egos. If somebody got a hubby, or you are a hubby, you can use a nail set to set them all the way in. Put it where there's a line. Put it in at an angle with the lead around the outside. The carpet tack hits the wood and it hits the lead. You can usually tell, also I can tell when something's been worked on and reinstalled poorly because they'll put a nail out in the middle of nowhere. You don't put a nail or a carpet tack in the middle of nowhere. You always put it where there's a line. How do you drive the carpet tack in without hitting the window? Use a nail set. Or you can even use a 1/4 inch or 3/16 reinforcing rod that you've cut down and file the edges off smooth. And this is what I do. Instead of trying to use brads, God forbid. That's how I can tell something's been worked on and Mickey Moused. They've got brads holding the window in. And one of the other reasons you don't put a nail out in the middle of nowhere, because if you crush the cane, guess what? You're probably going to wind up breaking the glass, which is what you took it out of the frame to repair it. And this isn't a contest to see how fast I can drive these things in. So, yeah, I'm taking my time. The next step after I get it all set is to glaze it. But what I'm going to do with that is set it up and then turn the video camera back on. See? Okay. All right. Yep. Me again and again. Since I got you here, I thought I would show this off also. See in this case I had to load the frame. See, this is the back bed of putty that I always put in behind the window. I don't care where it's going. It's part of standard procedure, at least for me. And you do this whether you're using clear glass, stained glass window, whatever. I always put a back bed in because eventually what's going to happen is, even though it gets face glazed, eventually what will happen is that the face glazing will fail over time if it doesn't get painted on a regular basis. Okay, and so it'll fail and fall off, and if it doesn't have a back bed, water gets in behind the window and rots the frame, which adds to is detrimental to the life of the piece. And I notice like in the UK, they use a hellacious back bed. Sometimes, what, 1/4 inch of putty in the back because of the climate. You know, it's another way I can tell when windows have been worked on and they did a Mickey Mouse job. Okay, me again. Old window, pin, and glaze. One of the things that I like to do when I'm glazing a glass window in a wooden sash frame is I like to mask it off with painter's tape on the glass, because the putty actually has a kind of a grease in it and it gets on the glass inevitably, and I would like to keep it off the glass because according to the can, some people actually do read what's on the back of the can. They tell you to wait 2 weeks before you paint this, and that means 2 weeks before you can really clean it. You wind up getting a skin on the glazing compound. And so what happens is, if the client tries to clean the window, they wind up denting my immaculately glazing bead here. So yeah, I mask it off with tape, and after I'm done I will peel it off. And of course you're saying, well, that's not an immaculate glaze there. Well, you know, when you're glazing a window, the first step is to get it on. The second step is to smooth it out. And because I use zinc around the outside edge of this thing, I'm putting a nice, deep, thick, fat, honking glazing bead on here. See? So, see? Look at a nice, also clean, fairly clean edge. Hi, I'm shooting a little quick video here, but come on.
You just go right ahead.
Come on in if you want. So this is fairly even. A little bit more on there, because I want it to come to the edge of the zinc, which I'm also using as a guide for the putty knife blade. See? And that gives me a nice, clean edge. And this is how you smooth it out. Use a finger. Don't try to poke it. Use a finger. Okay.